This is probably one of the most unique things about my van build, and I've not seen anybody else have something similar to it in their builds. You need to make sure that you're prepared to be uncomfortable. Doing that by myself gave me a whole new set of skills and understanding about how the van works and what goes into making this lifestyle possible. I'm Joey, and welcome to my van. This is Vangelina Jolie, and she is built as a 4-season camper van, so I can take her out camping in the spring, summer, winter, and fall whenever I want to. So the way that I went about making that possible is I have some spray foam insulation in the van, in the floors, wall, and ceiling. I also have a diesel heater in here as well. So those two things combined really help make this a 4-season van, and so I don't get hypothermia sleeping in the winter. During the summer, the insulation also actually helps keep the van cooler as well. And then I also have this max air fan as well, and then a skylight in the back of the van over the bed. So the reason that I went with this design and layout like this with the sink next to the bed is so that I can maximize the amount of countertop space that's not interrupted in the van. From this wall to the end of it is 6 feet, and then I can flip up this countertop extension. So with this big countertop and extension that I have right here on the entryway to the van, I can combine that with my table on a lagoon mount. I just put that right here. And then now I basically have so much countertop space, like in an L shape. So when I'm cooking or just hanging out or doing whatever in the van, there's more than enough space than you would possibly need in here. One of my main goals in the van was to maximize space and make sure that everything was multi-purpose. But with that, I also wanted to make sure that I got the most out of every component. And one thing that I didn't want to sacrifice is fridge size. So I have a nice big 130 liter fridge from TruckFridge. It is 12 volt, and the reason that I did that is because I didn't want to need to leave my inverter on at all times. So this 12 volt fridge will draw less power than a typical, 120 volt fridge will. Then moving over next to the fridge, we have our drawers and storage unit for all kinds of typical things you would find in any kitchen. So as far as storage goes and whether or not I have enough in the van, I am very happy with the amount of storage I have. One of the last things I want to show off in the kitchen is all of my switches right here. So these control all the lights in the van. So you'll see there's 4 sets of switches here. We have the main puck lights are on this switch, and these are 12 volt and on a dimmer. And then we also have some strip lighting that run along the upper sides of both of the van, as well as under cabinet lighting on this cabinet right here. And then there's even toe kick lighting as well. So in this area, this is where I will typically either eat dinner or work from. And when I want to work, actually both of these seats swivel around, and that's what turns into my office space. So with this lagoon table, it can go pretty much anywhere that I need it to go. And I have a 27-inch computer monitor that goes on this computer monitor arm right here. Also in this bench seat is where I store some cooking appliances like my Ninja Foodie air fryer pressure cooker, as well as my 2-burner induction stove. And with those two things, I can cook pretty much anything that I want to. So my diesel heater is down at my feet right now, and that's one of the things that helps make 4-season van life possible so I don't freeze in the winter time. So with that, since the ProMaster is a gasoline van, I had to install a separate diesel tank that it runs off of, and that's located in the engine bay. And then I control that with this control panel right here. But what's nice with this controller is I can actually set it on a timer as well. So when I go skiing, I can set it so it'll turn on like an hour before I get back to the van. That means that I come back to a nice warm van after skiing. So in this cabinet, we have the brain or the motherboard of my van is what I like to call it. So one of the most common questions that I get when I tell people that I live in a van is, how do you get internet when you're on the road? And the way I get internet is I have a cellular router and a cellular antenna in my van with an unlimited data SIM card. So with that, that means I can get internet anywhere that you get cell signal, and I broadcast my own Wi-Fi in the van. In this cabinet, we also have my head unit for my radio and my sounds, and I have surround sound in the van with 2 speakers down there, and then 2 more speakers in the bedroom, and then as well as my alarm for my security system. So I have this Cimarine Pico monitor that tells me how much power and water I have. So I have it connected to my 400 amp hour lithium ion battery bank that powers everything in the back of the van here. And then I also have a tank monitor sensor for my gray and my freshwater tanks. So I have 32 gallons of fresh water in the van, and then a 26-gallon gray water tank that's mounted underneath the van. And so with that water capacity, since it's just me in the van, that's been totally good for me being as a solo person. So the 32 gallons of fresh water will last me, honestly, like around 2 weeks typically, but I do have the shower in the van, but most of the time I'm showering in the gym. So this shower is more for when I'm off grid and not near civilization with the gym. So that water is mainly for, you know, washing dishes, drinking water, stuff like that. I grew up in New Hampshire, like 40 minutes north of Boston or so, and had a pretty like traditional upbringing and was on like the normal path that a lot of 28-year-olds were on at that time. So, you know, went to high school, went to college, was planning on getting, you know, a good job, and I was lucky enough to, after studying engineering in college, somehow landed a job with the FBI Technology Innovation Office. I knew very shortly on at what is a lot of people's dream job that it wasn't for me. So from that job, I made a transition to working as a remote software engineer. And then from working remotely, that kind of led to this whole van lifestyle kinds of thing. That's when I built out this van and then just kind of hit the road and have been living the van life, travel lifestyle for the past 2.5 years now. This is probably one of the most unique things about my van build, and I've not seen anybody else have something similar to it in their builds. So this is my shower slash bathroom slash pantry slash wardrobe. And the reason why I wanted to combine all of these different components is because I really wanted to have a shower inside of my van with a full wet bath, because I'm a big mountain biker and skier and hiker. And when you're doing those things, you don't always have access to like a gym or a rec center shower. But I also didn't want to have to sacrifice all of the space that goes with an indoor shower. So this is the solution that I came up with to not give up on my indoor shower, but also not sacrifice all that space just to be a waste. So opening it up, we have on this door, we have a pantry. So this is where all of my like spices and cooking oils and stuff like that are. And then on this door, we have my hanging wardrobe and a full body mirror, as well as my dirty clothes hamper on the bottom there. So having all this storage attached to the back of these doors like this means they automatically come out anytime I open the doors, and get storage inside the shower, so it's not just a wasted space. Now you may be thinking, Joey, how do you keep all the water from getting your clothes and the inside of the van wet? Well, this is how. So I have a Nautilus RV screen door, and I just slide this closed, and that keeps all the water inside of the shower area. And with this Nautilus RV shower door, I've been very happy with it, actually. So it works very well keeping the water on the inside of the shower and not on the inside of the van. So the floor out there is never really wet when I use it. And then there's also an internal squeegee here, so that keeps any mold from getting on the screen door. My vent fan is also super close to the shower too, so that'll suck out any extra humidity or moisture that may be left while I'm showering. And you really do get the best of both worlds with this design, and I've been very happy with it for 2.5 years now. In here I also have this Thetford porta potty cassette toilet, and this is just a portable toilet that comes in and out. So the reason why I went with this cassette toilet instead of a composting toilet is honestly because I didn't really want to spend like $1,000 on a toilet, and this seemed to be good enough for me. And I've also never pooped in this van after 2.5 years, believe it or not. There's just plenty of public bathrooms to do that if you want. So this toilet's more for emergencies, you know, middle of the night if I don't feel like going and finding a bathroom, and I use it plenty for that. And with that helps keep the van from smelling whatsoever. For my ceiling, I really liked the way that these wood slats look that I saw in a couple of other van builds, so I may have stole the idea a little bit, but that's what you do when you're building a van. And so I really liked this walnut color look with the black behind it, and the way that I went about creating that is I actually built and manufactured the whole ceiling before putting it into the van. So it's these 1x3 strips of pine that are then nailed and glued into this sheet of plywood, so it's bendable and flexible. And all the nails are in the back, so you don't see any of the actual nails or fasteners when you're looking at the ceiling, so that gives it a much cleaner look. And then to fasten it to the ceiling, I just had the wooden framing of the van done beforehand, and I knew where all of those cross members were, and so I just screwed up into the plywood in between the slats, and that's how it's secured to the ceiling. So if you're the type of person who sees like a YouTube video and thinks, oh, that would be so cool, I would love to live that kind of lifestyle, there is still a gap between, you know, how do I get from where I'm at now to living that lifestyle? And I had to go through that same gap as well. So luckily, growing up, my dad is an electrician and I used to work with him, so I had some kind of construction and electrical experience, but a lot of it was like self-taught and self-learning on YouTube for certain components, like learning how to do solar or designing things that you want in the van. What should I even have? Do I need to have this shower? Honestly, it just came to the point where you can only do so much research and you can only watch so many hundreds of YouTube videos on van builds before you just gotta make the commitment and be like, yes, I'm doing this thing. Doing that by myself gave me a whole new set of skills and understanding about how the van works and what goes into making this lifestyle possible. This is my bed, but like pretty much everything else in my van, it's not just a bed, it also has some kind of multi-function to it, and it also turns into a couch. But it's a couch that can go either way. So I can have a couch that flips up from the back and then I'm facing the inside so I can, chill and look at the inside of the van. Or this side also flips up into a couch so I can open up the back doors and look out onto nature. Or if I'm at the beach, I can have a beautiful view and still be just chilling in the van. As far as practicality of how often do I set it up into couch mode, most people don't really change or convert their bed much, so even though they like the idea of it. I'm in a similar camp, I would say, so I don't change it into couch mode a whole lot. I usually just prop up a couple of pillows in the corner, but if I'm chilling in here all day, then I do like to switch it into couch mode and mix it up. Though I will say a caveat to that is I do flip it up this way more, and then I open up the back doors more frequently than I face this way. So this bed is almost a queen size. It's just under queen size. So I use queen size sheets and they fit fine. And it is a 4-inch memory foam mattress with 2 inches of that being a high density foam and the top 2 inches being a lower density foam. And I've been really happy with this mattress. It's been super comfortable for me for the past 2.5 years. Then also here in the bed area, I have my skylight. And this is also the only way that I can get onto my rooftop deck on the roof of the van. So basically I just stand on the bed here, open up the skylight, then I just pop myself right on through, and then we're on the roof and we can chill and do whatever you want to do on the roof, really. My van on the roof is broken up into basically 2 sections. In the entire front part, we have this solar panel section, and then back here we have the rooftop deck section. So I have one 400-watt Solaria solar panel, and that's one of the main 3 ways that I get power into the van. And then back here I use Trex decking to make my rooftop deck. Now for these 2 black side tubes, there's nothing in them right now, but they're mainly for stealth and hiding what's on the rooftop up here. So that way when you're on the ground, you can't really see the solar panel or the rooftop deck or my fan or my antenna. So that's the main purpose of them. They do open though, so I can store things like fishing poles or tarps or something like that in them if I wanted to, but there's nothing in them right now. Welcome to the ugliest part of everybody's van build, mine including, the garage. So this is where I store pretty much everything that I didn't have space for in the main part of the van. I also have an outdoor shower as well, and I store a longboard as well as 2 pairs of skis and 3 bikes here. So there's just a whole bunch of junk thrown in here, but it's very organized and it's my junk. Back here in the garage is also where I have my electrical and water systems. So the electrical system is all on this side of the van, and to reiterate with that, I have 400 amp hours of Rely-On lithium-ion batteries, a 3000 watt inverter charger from Victron, as well as a 60 amp DC to DC charger that goes off of my vehicle alternator. So what that means is I have 3 ways of charging my batteries in this van. I have the 400 watt solar panel that's on the roof. I have my alternator charging whenever I'm driving. Then I also have a hidden shore power outlet as well. And then on this side, this is where my water tank is. So I have a 32-gallon freshwater tank, and then all of the plumbing is inside in like the back area of the garage there. For a 4-season rig, or if you plan on van lifing in the winter, you need to make sure that you're prepared to be uncomfortable. So you get uncomfortable a lot in general with this lifestyle, but winter van life and winter camping dials it up to a whole new level. So with some things with the actual build itself you want to take into consideration, you need to make sure that you have good insulation. Otherwise, even any heat you put in there is not going to be good. And then you want to make sure you have a quality heater that's going to be able to actually heat the space so you're not cold every single night. So you just need to be more prepared going into it, and you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. But when you're in that stage of uncomfort, that's when we grow the most as people. If you've liked this build and want to see anything more like it, or follow me on my van life journey. So you can follow me at Joey the Nomad on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all the major platforms. I'm very active on all of them, posting, daily van life kind of stuff, things about the build, and really receptive to any kind of questions or comments that you may have about living this lifestyle.